Come on. Now, why is it taking so long to go live? This is what I mean about technology. Come
Story
on.
of my life.
It doesn't normally take this long.
No.
Hello. Don't you? Oh my God! Come on.
Yeah, a lot of people are streaming.
Having trouble connecting. Please check. All right, let's try this again. My internet is on, so I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, here we go. Are we live? Looks like we are. No, Karen says, hey. Hey, everyone. Tina Hogan Grant here. I just had a little issue there, but looks like we're live. I do this every other Monday, twice a month. I love to bring authors into my home. We talk about books, writing, what we're doing as an author, what we're currently working on. And tonight, Elgon Williams is joining me all the way from Las Vegas. How are you this evening?
I'm great.
I'm thrilled to have you tonight, and I'm excited to talk to you about your books. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge a few of our readers that are joining us. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm here with Elgon Williams. Karen Wright is here. She says, hey. Karen Geerling, hey to Tina and Elgon, Lisa Murray. And then we have a Facebook user, which tells me you're in my group, which is private, so I can't see your name, but you're in Northeast Florida. So welcome. Lori Chasco is here. Darlene Johnson is here. They're all here to hear about your books, Elgon. So before we get started, can you just give us a little background on yourself and where you're from? Just a little background on Elgon.
Okay. Well, I'm semi-retired. I grew up in Ohio and spent the first 18 years of my life there. And then I went away to college and didn't go back for many, many years. So I went to Purdue University, got a mass communication degree from there. And then I transferred to the University of Texas at Austin and got a degree in marketing administration. And that was a bad time for the economy, so I ended up joining the Air Force. They taught me Chinese Mandarin, and I spent a couple of years in Asia.
Oh, wow.
And that was actually, the training was the first time I'd ever been to California. I was in Monterey for over a year.
Okay.
And they learned Chinese Mandarin there and then deployed overseas. And I was in for like 4 years, came out of the military. I'm married, got a kid, and I got a job with the Home Depot and spent 12 and a half years working for them in management.
Wow.
And then started working as a computer technician and a lot of other little odd jobs on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Worked for CompUSA for 7 years and worked for Kmart for about 5-6 years. And then I decided that, I'd been tinkering around with writing in the background, published a couple of things with a small publisher. And I decided I was going to quit working in retail and try to pursue a writing career full time.
And are you full time now?
Which I don't recommend doing it the way that I did it.
How many books do you have published?
Well, I have 5 out with my present publisher. Those are the ones that are in print.
Okay.
So there's a couple other books floating around besides that.
And
but you can order them from Amazon. And they're on Ingram too, so you can order them through bookstores.
Through Ingram too, right? And when was your first book published?
In 2001.
Okay. And now you're on book number 5. And the one that you sent me the graphic of, do you have a cover of that to hold up, a book to hold up? That one is called The Ninja Bread Castles. Now, this is book 2 of the Fried Windows. Is that correct?
Yeah, Fried Windows series.
And what is book 1 called?
It's called Fried Windows in a light white sauce.
White sauce. And What genre would you put these under?
Magical realism, fantasy, touch of science fiction here and there.
Okay, and are your books the same genre?
All the present ones that I'm publishing. Some of them have bits of mystery in them. Some of them have
Mhm.
elements of romance, things
Okay,
like that. I mean, all the genres end up coming together in books anyway. It just depends on which
right.
ones you're focusing on.
Okay, and then for this one, like Ninja Bread Castles is part of a series book too. Can you just give us a little background to it without giving too much away? What is
Well, in book one, the main character Brent Woods um, reconnects with his childhood friends, his imaginary friends from childhood, but they're not really imaginary.
Oh wow.
And he ends up in an alternate universe type situation. And so that book, he's straddling between the real world and the fantasy world, and he's trying to get his memories all back and fused together because um, Brent's been a bad guy in his past life. He worked for an organization that's called the Program, and the Program is a group of highly trained assassins that take out political leaders and try to direct humanity, through assassinations and a lot of other covert activities. And their cover is being CIA agents.
Wow.
So, but so Brent uses a mnemonic device to restore his memories um, from when he was brainwashed. He's brainwashed by the organization, and so he thinks that he's just a normal person, normal guy. Works in a retail store selling computers and doing deliveries. And then he reconnects with this lady early in the Fried Windows book, who's her name's Mrs. Fields, and she comes in the store to buy a computer from him. And she does all this just to reconnect with him because she wants to get his help in the fantasy world. So there's a lot of stuff going on
Yeah, it
in
seems like
this
now
in this
I
in this
have to
story.
ask, number one, what inspired this book and where do these ideas or creativity come from?
Well, when I left the last retail job I had, which was as a manager with Kmart,
Hmm.
I was I worked I worked on a lot of books online, getting feedback from people. And I had about 15, 20 manuscripts, like most authors have that
Yeah,
they've just never done anything with.
we'll get to them one day.
And so I tried my hand at sending those out to publishers, getting rejected, and I mean, you have to have thick skin being a
Yeah, you do.
and one of the people, there were a lot of poets that worked in that group, and one of them that I was friends with, she would critique my stuff, and then she was always telling me to try writing poetry. So just mostly to get her to shut up because I'm really bad at writing poetry. I wrote a poem about childhood and going to a carnival, in the small town where I grew up, and the sounds and the smells and riding rides and everything like that. And in the process of writing it, I got a lot of really good feedback on it, and a lot of people liked it. And I decided to, try writing a prose version of that. And over the course of about a month, I came up with 16 short stories that were based on the same subject. And after playing with it for about another year, I realized that there was actually enough connection between those stories that I could actually create a novel from it. So that's where the Fried Windows book came from. The original story was called Fried Windows.
Oh, okay.
And the problem was, when I don't wear glasses, I read things wrong because I got dyslexia.
Oh, shoot.
And there was a headline on an online article I was reading, and I misread it as Fried Windows, and I, laughed at it. I said, "What the heck is a fried window?" And then I said, "I guess it's something that you would serve with a light white sauce." So,
oh, there you go.
so that's where the title came from. And Ninja Bread Castle's the book too.
Right.
Also comes from mishearing something,
Okay.
and it was actually gingerbread, but the way somebody pronounced it on TV, it sounded like ninja bread to me. So,
hey, I like it. That works. And will there be a book 3? Will they see something?
Yeah, there's a book 3. There may be a book 4. I haven't decided where there's a gap in the story, so I'm trying to fill that in. But the book 3, as it stands now, it's called Dead Men Don't Wear Watches.
I like your titles. They're very
it's set in Southern California. So.
Oh, what part?
Down around Venice Beach and
I used to live down there.
Huntington Beach in that area. I lived for about 5 months in Irvine. So.
Okay, yeah, I lived right off of Lincoln Boulevard and Washington, around that area. Yeah, about 10 blocks from the beach, I think it was. My son still lives down that way. I do notice a few questions for you. I want to pick up and take a little break and say hello.
Okay.
A few more people that joined us. Here's a question from Karen. She's asking, can you read your books out of order?
Yeah, I suppose you could. It would make the story a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Is it better to read them in order? And
I would recommend reading them in order.
Yeah. Read them in order. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they would all stand alone. I have another series that's the first book's called Becoming Superman. The second book's called Homer Underby, and the third book's called Thooper Heroes. And that's a trilogy that started out as a single book.
Yeah, that's like mine did. Mine all started out as single books, and one's a trilogy, and I'm going to be releasing book 7 of the next one around December. So I know,
Yeah.
I'll write a book. 7 books later, I'm still writing them. If you're just joining us, I'm here with Elgon Williams from Las Vegas. We're talking about his book, Ninja Bread Castles. It is book 2 of the Fried Windows series. If you have any questions for Elgon, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will try and get to as many as I can. I want to say hello to a few more that have joined us. I see Diane Robinson is here, Lori Chasco, Elaine Sapp, Virgie Lane. Virgie likes your titles too. She put creative titles. And also Tina Atkinson, I love the titles and the covers are great. Again, if you have any questions for Elgon, go ahead and put them in the comments. Diane says, Texas here, late, but cooking mushrooms to go with steaks. She's multitasking. She's watching us and she's cooking dinner too. That actually sounds pretty good. I'm getting hungry. This one's from Leisha. I love how your titles came about. She loves the story behind your titles. And then
there's a title of the other series, Homer Underby. It's actually it's the name of a character that's half fairy and half human.
I love your imagination. Do you have does some of this come to you in dreams?
No.
I'm just curious.
No, I used to have nightmares when I was a kid.
Oh wow!
And then around the time I was 23, I had a really bizarre dream. I believe I was 25 actually. I was in Austin, Texas, and I fell asleep on the couch, watching the news, and the news is playing in the background, so that always makes your dreams weird anyway.
True.
And
especially today.
so I had a very vivid dream where I woke up inside the dream, and I was telling myself how dreams are actually constructed.
Oh, that is
And
bizarre.
ever since then, I've not had nightmares.
You fixed it.
No,
Go
no,
inside your
it's
dream to fix those nightmares.
go
I
inside
don't
your
remember
dream.
my dreams. I'm just one that I just do not remember my dreams. I'm not even sure if I do dream. My husband, he has dreams almost every night, and he remembers them, and I hear him about them the next morning. But I just don't remember if I have dreams or not. Yet we'll see what happens. I did pop up this question from B. She wants to know if your books are humorous.
There's some humor in them. I don't set out for them to be funny books or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
there's some really bizarre situations that are humorous. Like in Fried Windows, Brent has to retrieve the spirits of deceased girlfriends, and
Oh wow!
he has to bring them back to this the world that's called an in between, which is kind of like an alternate universe version of New Orleans, and he has to bring them back there. And the only way to get them there is to bring their spirits into the inside of him. So there's actually three of them inside of him traveling around.
Oh my goodness!
Which is, I mean, just itself, it's an absurd thing and it's funny, you know.
It sounds humorous. It really does. And then Leisha has a question about your characters. I can get it to come up. Here we go. Do your book characters talk to you? And if they do, have you had to change something in the story because of it?
My characters are loosely based on real people.
I was going to ask you that. So you just answered that question.
So, yeah, they do talk to me. I think every author has characters that talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
They get mad at you if you do certain things, and you have to go back and fix things.
Yeah.
I mean, you get used to having really bizarre conversations with your characters.
You really do.
It may take place in your head or may take place on the page that you're writing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look up from the page and you go, when the hell did I write that?
I can totally relate to that. You're absolutely right. And do you plot your books, number one, or are you your pantser and you just let the book?
I do both. My rough drafts tend to be by the seat of my pants, and then I create an outline and restructure the story so that it makes sense.
Okay.
Because my stories will go all over the place.
All over. I can imagine. And the question I wanted to have, we're talking about the characters and how they talk to you. I found my situation in where I've had in my mind where I think the book is going to go, and the character takes the lead and wants to take it in a completely other direction. Do you win the battle if that happens, or do you just let the character take over and let them tell you what?
Well, when I start writing, it's usually a dialogue between the two main characters in the book. There's usually two main characters in every book. And then they will actually tell me where the story's going. They'll tell me the conflicts. They'll tell me, the problems that they're having. And they'll argue with each other a lot of times. And then you go back and you put in the filler material it's not really filler material, but it's
just background and
establishing the setting, doing the getting the characters to move from here to there, that sort of thing.
I love it.
But I start off with the dialogue, and so the stuff that I put in to make it make sense is the stuff that's actually structured.
All right.
In terms of the story.
That makes sense.
So I may have a series of, 2 or 3 dozen little vignettes where conversations are going on, and then the challenge is figuring out how all that fits together.
Yeah, gluing it all together into a structure. Right. I was going to ask you a question. It just slipped my mind now. I can't remember what it was. It'll come back to me. Just give me a minute. But I see Maria here. Maria. She says, "Hi, long time."
No, I know her.
What are you doing? Just want to put that up and make sure you saw that. Hi, Marie. So good to see you, Maria. I keep calling you Marie. The characters. Do you, when you're writing your book, do you know how it's going to end?
Not always.
A lot of times.
Usually not. If I have an idea of how it's going to end, usually the characters change that. So.
Right. And have you been completely surprised? Are you happy, even though you didn't know how it's going to end? Is there an ending that you leave, whether you
one
like?
One of the reasons I write serials is because I suck at writing endings. So.
I tell my readers too that, I mean, I've written the trilogy and the romance series. I don't even know if I'm capable of just writing a standalone.
Well, sometimes you get to a point in the story where you go, I really can't advance the plot any more than it's already advanced here. And then you sit back from it, and you may walk away from it for a day or two, and you come back and you read it again. And you go, this is a good ending.
And then
this is a good way to end the story. Everything's complete. There's nothing that needs to go somewhere else.
Nothing's left unanswered. Or
with my with the books that I've written most recently, I'm with Panda Publishing, so the books that I've written most recently are interconnected.
Okay.
So Brent's actually a minor character in the Superman series.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
And the main characters from the Superman series end up in the Ninjabread Castles book. They didn't appear in Fried Windows, but they make a token appearance in Ninjabread Castles, and then they're more involved in the third book in the series.
Do you happen to have book 1 nearby?
I have the original cover. Hang on.
Oh, let's see it.
This is the original print cover.
Oh, okay. And that's book 1.
I think you can still get the book with this cover on it.
Okay, it has changed. It has changed.
Yeah, it's changed. The current book, I don't have a copy of it, but it looks more like this cover. It's just different cover.
You said you were Panda Moon Publishing. Do you have input into the covers?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
All the authors do. They have a survey that you fill out. Basically the basic plot points. They also want you to pick book covers that you like and book covers that you don't like. And that gives them kind of a background of where to come up with a rough prototype for the cover.
Okay. And how long have you been with Panda Moon?
Since I signed with them in 2013. So,
oh, congratulations. So they have how many of your books?
They've got 5 of them.
Oh, they have all of them.
Yeah, I've got another book that's in the pipeline with them. It's called Dammerwald, but it's first book of the Wolfcat series. And those books are connected to the other 5 books. So there's actually 10 books in that series. That's all written. Those are already written. I started writing those in 2002.
Wow. I think Renee just asked the same question. Your covers are so entertaining, yet do you have a say in the design of your covers? She has to say. I love the colors in your covers. They're very bold. And I want to say busy, but not busy in a bad way, but there's just a lot to take in. But they stand out. They stand out. They're very bold. Maria says, I'm the same way that I don't know where the story is headed. I'm just putting up a few of your comments. When you say that your characters are loosely based on people you know, do these people know that the characters are based on them? Have you told them? Or do they kind of pick up on it?
Some of them may know.
But they haven't confronted you.
No.
Does your wife read your books? Your family members read your books?
Oh, my ex-wife has never read any of my books. She really didn't appreciate me being tied up in writing a lot. So
that's too bad. I'm sorry.
But one of my daughters doesn't want to read my books because when she reads them, she hears my voice and it kind of freaks her out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and my oldest daughter has read my books, and she thinks they're bizarre.
Bizarre.
So
Dad
bizarre.
books are bizarre.
Dad writes some bizarre stories.
You said that's part of it. I mean, when you describe some of your books, I am thinking science fiction of some of the details that you gave it. Do you read science fiction or
I
watch it?
used to read science fiction a lot when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and growing up, like H.G. Wells. I read a lot of Kurt Vonnegut Jr.
Okay.
His older stuff, his early stuff, and I kept up with his later stuff. After Breakfast with Champions. Then I started reading books from Ursula K. Le Guin and Frederick Pohl and let's see, Samuel R. Delaney. So those were really great books to cut my teeth on. And I wanted to write like those people. I don't think I ever accomplished that. But,
Hey,
they're I have my own writing style.
I think we all need to do that. I mean,
But
a lot of a lot of,
yeah,
a lot of new authors, they want to try and be like the next Nora Roberts or the next,
yeah.
whoever. But we
Well,
all
you have to read a lot of books to see how other people do things, how other
Mhm.
people create the tricks or serve the genre that they're writing in. And the more experience that you have with that, the better writer you're going to be. But at some point, you have to set the reading aside, and you have to, get your feet wet.
You do,
You
and
have to start.
I think it
You have
took
to
me
start writing.
yeah, it took me a couple of books to find my voice, my style. And I always complain that I don't have enough reading time, because it's always a battle. Do I write or do I read? And of course, writing's going to win every time. So I get frustrated because I have a lot of books that I want to read and leave reviews for, but my writing is priority. And I'll be lucky if I read a book a month, and it frustrates the heck out of me. But at least I'm writing.
Well, there's times that there's times I read a lot.
Hmm.
Still, I read a lot of the manuscripts that are submitted to my publisher, and give some feedback to the authors on it. So
I love that because I've
help
seen you do.
help them out that way.
I see you do a lot of promotions for other authors online, which I
Yeah,
think is really cool. So you're involved also, in helping the other authors that go through, Panda Moon, which I think is fabulous.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
That's fantastic. Um,
Yeah, I work with Christine Gabriel there too. We have a talk show that we do with authors. We don't do them as often as you do, but
no, they're a lot of fun. I really enjoy these twice a month. I love meeting
some
new
shows.
authors like yourself and learning about new books. I just get a kick out of it. And Maria also says she feels guilty reading because I feel like I should be writing, and that's kind of how I feel too. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'll take a bath or that's when I'll read. When there's no, I can't write.
Well,
So
writers are inspired by very strange things, and you never know where the inspiration is going to come from. And you may read a book and it may not offer you anything, or it may inspire you to go in a different tangent on what you were writing.
hmm
So
is there a genre? I mean, basically, your books are basically all the same genre. Is there a genre you haven't written in yet that you'd like to try one time, or like maybe in your back of your mind that you might try another genre?
the book that I'm working on, the third book in the series is more of a crime mystery,
Okay,
and I would like to concentrate more on that because I read a lot of that now,
okay, that makes sense.
and
That'll be fun to
yeah,
write. That'll be fun.
so
I do want to we're going to take a little break in just a minute because you're going to treat us to a live read. I love when an author from their work, but I have
yeah,
one
it's
more
gonna
question.
it's gonna be a challenge.
Oh, I love it. But I want to cover just one more question. So I want to get to some more after you read. Dana asked, I'm sure she's talking about your daughter. Is she in your books? The one that's read.
She's a Yeah, she's in the Fried Windows books.
Does she know?
She's Yeah, she's a character. She's one of Brent's kids. You know,
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
all of my kids are in the book as Brent's kids because Brent's kind of like an alter ego of mine, except
Ah,
he's a lot braver than I would have ever been. So,
awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to hand it
and
over.
I've never been an assassin, so I just want to put that out there.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, I'm going to hand it over to you, and it's all yours. Thank you so much for doing a live read.
All right. This is chapter 1. It's called Perfectly Bad. Falling through the van window wasn't the best idea I ever had. It was risky at best. Maybe I should have waited for a better situation, a different chance for escaping Forsyth. It's just I didn't want to go back to their asylum. My life was crazy enough without the program's intervention. The thing about windows is they divide inside from out. And so it was no surprise that I landed incomplete, disoriented, and confused. After all, my inside and outside were separated again. And after all the effort to get myself together, where I landed was a different matter. Lost and in at least 2 places at once, disconnected, numb, and confused. Yet I was vaguely aware of both places, like waking in the fog of a dream, but having to deal with the painful truth of the sun shining on my face. Opening one eye into the brightness only added to the throbbing pain in my head. I began to assess the damage. My limbs refused to report or move. I must have broken something. My neck? Wouldn't there be some fiery nerve endings somewhere protesting about that? Blue sky above, the sound of wings flapping overhead. But I couldn't focus. Was an angel coming for me? Or a demon? Could it be a gull? Maybe I was closer to the Gulf Coast than I thought. My mind scrambled to recall where I was exactly when I fell through the window. But it was hard to say. I was sitting in the back of a van. There was a guard across from me. I lulled him to sleep. I wasn't paying attention to the road, but it was somewhere in eastern Texas on the way from Dallas to Houston. More wings, bigger, several birds flapping, rustling nearby. Could it be vultures? Morning, boys and girls. What you found there for your breakfast? The accent was Cajun, as familiar as the voice should have been, but I couldn't quite place it. Years ago, more than I wanted to admit, I spent a whole summer in New Orleans. The last few weeks of it behind bars. The program negotiated my release on the promise that I would never return to the Crescent City. I'd spent the rest of my life avoiding southern Louisiana. The closest I'd been was passing the exit on the interstate in Baton Rouge. I doubted anyone would remember me. The corrupt DA who was running for mayor and looking to make an example of me for political benefit never made the grade. He had to be long gone, right? Still, a promise was a promise. But that didn't answer the foremost question. Why would I be in Louisiana? It was hours away from where I was, or should have been, where it made sense for me to be. The speaker was Cajun, but maybe I was still in Texas, somewhere that stunk bad, like everything was dead and rotting. At least that sense was returning, though it could have waited a bit longer. What was that smell anyway? I made an effort to speak, but phlegm blocked my words. I cleared my throat several times before croaking. Hello? Looks like this one ain't quite ripe enough for y'all just yet. Footfalls approached, plopping and sucking in and out of mud, wings flapping, close by on the ground. See, he's still moving. Go on now, get. Find something truly dead, pick at. Where? The word felt harsh against the back of my throat. Where am I? You looking like somebody threw out the garbage. His shadow fell across my face. Of course, that happens a lot around here. This being the city dump and all. Opening one eye again, I saw shadows of a face in silhouette against the brilliant blue sky. The stench of my surroundings was making me nauseous. Yes, sir. They sure done throw out the trash, and you was it. Who are you? I was the one be doing the asking here, this being in my ward and all. So, garbage man, give me your name. It's Brent. For whatever reason, I struggled with that bit of information. The hell you say? I knew a Brent's once. He chuckled. Crazy ass boy. Young feller. Got into some trouble here and abouts. Came for the summer from college and hooked up with that fine rainbow gal. What a lady she was. Was? The word cut through the phlegm before I cleared my throat again. Rainbow? The dancer in the club where I used to work back in the outside. What happened to her? Up and gone. They all do that sooner or later. Did you know her or something? I knew her, I said. I left it at that. Here she goes somewhere up Tennessee way with some preacher meet up with at the club. You were a bouncer there, I recalled, finally placing his voice. Sure enough, he squinted at me, studying my face before tilting his head to one side. He removed his top hat and fished a pair of glasses from the inside. One of the ear tabs was missing, so he could barely keep it resting across the bridge of his flat nose. Nah, you can't be. You not that stupid come back here, would you? With a glimpse of his profile matching someone conjured from a fragment of a memory, I said, Reverend? He smiled broadly. Yes, sir, that be the name. And you must be the man, all right. Shaking his head. What was your full name anyway? Or did you bother to know it? I'm having trouble with that one myself. Oh, I remember. Used to joke about it because that rainbow was always good at teasing the wood, you know? He chuckled. Your name Woods, is it? Sure is. He paced around where I was stuck in the mud. Man, how did you get so old? You got gray hairs now. Of course, folks say the same about me. I see you're still wearing a tuxedo. That isn't the same one. Nah, got to keep up with the styles, don't you know? Anyway, I got more than this one. He chuckled. Then he held out his foot to show me one of his shoes. These Chucks are fairly new, and tube socks too. Taking care of the feet is important. The feathers in the hat band in your pocket definitely make a statement. You think so? Might be a teeny bit overdone, but then so's the Reverend, right? He tossed back his head and had a good laugh. Now look at you. Can't say y'all dress for any occasion up your ass in that crap. I guess not. Yes, sir. You know me, and I knows you. What are the odds of meeting like this? Got to be some reason for it, don't you think?
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. I love the accent that you threw in there.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Oh, you did really well. You nailed it. I do want to put a few comments up for people that were commenting while you're reading. One was saying, I love this. And then Dana saying, I'm from Louisiana. Karen said, oh, wait a minute. It was there. Where'd it go? Hold on. There's some really good comments I want to put up for you. Thank you for reading from Barbara. Robin says, sounds awesome. Darlene says that was great. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I love listening to authors read from their work. And then Maria says, I like your voice when reading. Elaine says, loving this live read. And one more. B says, sounds good. We'll look this up. New author to me. Love it. Thank you so much. That was a nice treat.
Thank you, folks. I challenge reading. I'm challenged to read out loud because I have dyslexia, and I used to really struggle with it when I was a kid. And I ended up having to teach myself how to read. And when I taught myself to read word patterns instead of read individual words.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's very hard to do when you read out loud. So it takes a lot of practice. But
you did fantastic. Now, you say it's with reading. Does it also happen when you're writing? Or is it just when you're reading?
Yeah, I sometimes I'll transpose letters and things like that, but that's why God gave us editors, right?
I was about to say that's why we have editors. Thank God, right? A lot of authors, and I'm one of them, do you read your work out loud before you hand it over to the editor?
I try to, because that's a good way to find mistakes on it. But it's usually I find mistakes in my own writing up to a certain extent, and then the editor's going to find stuff that you missed. It always happens.
Yeah.
But, I try reading it out loud because a lot of times, especially when you're writing dialogue, the dialogue sounds more natural.
It does.
If you work that way.
I agree. Now, do you write every day?
I try to.
And do you have you say you work also outside of your writing. So do you have any kind of routine when you sit down and write? Do you set yourself goals or?
Well, I get up very early in the morning, and I do a lot of the marketing stuff for authors then, and then when I'm finished with that, I've been posting a novel in progress that I haven't, a side project. I've been posting that on my Medium channel, which, if people want to read a book for free, they can go to my Medium channel. It's
put the link in the comments after the last chat.
Yeah, it's elgonwilliams.medium.com. That'll get you to it. But there's actually 3 books over there, and they're backstory that I created for the Brent Woods character, so that you know where he came from. Now, Brent Woods is a wolf cat, which is a magical creature, which allows him to be able to shift between dimensions and everything. And wolf cats were created after humans on Earth, and but they still have the same source material. And the wolf cats were taken to another planet across the galaxy, and they were taken there to be slaves of the master race. They didn't turn out to be very good slaves because they're very independent. So they rebelled and escaped and created their own civilization there. And so Brent actually visits that planet, at a couple of points. And he actually takes the characters from the Becoming Superman books. He takes the 2 characters, which is an 8-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. He takes them to that planet to visit, so he can show them certain things. And the boy in that book is also a wolf cat, and the girl's a witch.
I love your imagination. It's just out there. It's fantastic.
And they live in a real town called Normal, Illinois, which is a perfect place.
That's a real town?
Yeah.
Normal. There's a reader in my group. She's in a lot of groups, but Ruth, she lives in a town called Peculiar. I just love, and I told her Peculiar.
Yeah, that's in Missouri, right?
I think it's Missouri, yeah. But she's a sweet lady, and I just love the name of the town where she's from. I just do. And then
I think I know her too.
Ruth Benson. Yeah, she
Ruth.
might be here. Sometimes she's in the group, and I can't see her name because it's a private group. Renee has a question for you. She's asking, when you do retire, will you be a full-time author?
I'm a full-time author now. It's just I do other stuff on the side.
I like that answer. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love that one. That's a first. Speaking of being a full-time author and doing stuff on the side, what has been, I want to say, when you sit down, you write your book, you go through the process before it gets published, what do you find is the hardest part in all the steps we have to do?
Selling it.
Yep, you've written this book, and like, now what?
I think going through the revision processes, that's probably the most painful thing in the entire process.
Yeah, I don't like it when I have to cut chunks out that I knew took forever to get just right, in my mind.
I mean, there's I mean, if you have a good editor, they're going to argue with you. And they're going to tell you that, well, this really doesn't do anything for the plot, and this doesn't need to be there. And the problem is, when I've plotted out a series, there's things that the author, knows need to happen in this book because it affects something 3 books from now. And the editor doesn't understand that. So you have some interesting arguments.
Yeah, that's true. And I noticed when you're doing your live read, it was written in first person. Are all your books in first person?
The newer ones are. The Wolfcat books are in third person.
Do you have a preference, or it's just how the story reads better?
It was how the story started. I started out writing in third person because most of the books that I read, growing up were in third person. And I don't know. Bride Windows was actually the first book that I tried writing in first person. And it worked really well. There's challenges to writing in first person, like you want to avoid starting every sentence with I.
That's the hard part. That is
and that's a big challenge. And you have a limited point of view.
It's just from that one person.
When you're writing in third person, you can use the omniscient point of view.
Exactly.
I mean, you can be God and you move all the characters around. But in first person, you only see your part of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then in my book, the Sabella series, it's written in first person, but I have back and forth between 2 characters in some of the books, so I can get the perspective of both characters. That's kind of how I got around that.
There's different ways. There's different ways of getting around it. But
there is.
I like the limitation, of it. Because I mean, if you're playing God in all your books, where's the fun in that?
That's true. And
you need to have the challenges.
And it's great to put yourself up to that challenge and, overcome it. My dad always used to tell me there's no such word as can't. And I live by that every day. I really do. And it's true. If you put your mind to it, you can pretty much do, what you want to do. Karen has a question for you. She says, how do you come up with your characters' names?
It just happens. I mean, the characters will tell you their names.
Yeah, they will. I mean, I've gone to like baby name sites to get some ideas sometimes about sometimes I'll start using a name and I'll go, wait a minute, I used that like 5 books ago. So I have to kind of, change that name out, and that's when I'll go to a site.
A lot of the problem with fantasy, especially fantasy books in the genre, is that characters have weird names. I mean, and it becomes a challenge to readers. Now, some readers don't mind that, but I don't mind it when I'm reading fantasy because I read patterns, so I recognize the pattern of the name. I may have never pronounced it to myself.
Yeah.
When I read to myself, I read silently, and I take that literally.
Yeah.
So I just I recognize the word and I move on, and I can read very quickly that way.
That makes sense. Maria had a question for you. If I can find it. Here it is, right here. She said, Al, do you do Amazon and Facebook ads? What kind of promotions do you do?
We also use Twitter. We use TikTok. Um, I don't do TikTok myself. I don't understand it.
Nor do I. I have
Um,
Karen do it for me.
but I,
Thank you, Karen. She's here tonight.
I do. I do. But Christine understands TikTok.
Yeah,
So
it's not only that I don't understand it, it's just I just don't have the time.
it's like an even worse Twitter.
Yeah,
In a lot of
I
ways.
got out of Twitter. I couldn't handle the drama.
Oh, there's too much drama.
Yes.
It's all politics and book
Yeah,
promotion now.
I got out of there. And I mean, pretty much now I have Instagram, which I'm still not on enough. There'll be spiritual. I'll post like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, I've started using Instagram a lot more.
Yeah.
I've had an account forever. But,
Oh, me too. But it goes in spurts. I'll be 1 week.
Yeah.
I'll post every day, and then you won't hear from me for a couple of weeks. Oh, I got an account on Instagram. I should post something. I do Facebook every day because I have my group, and that's where my
there's authors that I run into on different platforms. I recognize them, and I stay in touch with the authors that way.
Yeah.
There's people all over the world.
Oh yeah, I mean, that
you get in touch with. So
yeah, the social media is great for that. And then Karen, she does a great job doing my videos for TikTok, and I do a couple here and there, but Karen does a fantastic job. And all I have to do is send her the graphics, and within an hour, it's up. So and then I do Facebook ads and I do Amazon ads, but they take a lot to figure out. It's not just a matter of putting up your book and here, buy my book. No, you have to target your audience. You have to know who you're targeting. And Facebook will eat up your money. If you don't target the right, they'll eat you up like that. So I set a budget. And once you took that budget, you're not going to hear from me for a week. But I use Facebook. I have been for a couple of years. But got to get the word out there, You do.
Yeah.
You really do. And when it comes to new authors that want to, be published, maybe one day be full-time and, do something else on the side. I love that answer. What advice do you give them?
Well, you got to grow a thick skin, first of all. That's the major challenge of going from being a normal person to being a writer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider writers normal people. They're able to connect with a creative aspect of the universe, and some of the stories that the universe gives you are not worth telling, and some are. So, and you're the arbiter of that because you're the writer. So you decide on which stories that you think are worth telling, and you have to learn how to write first. And the first step of that is you have to be an avid reader.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times when I was in college counting textbooks and everything. I would read 300-400 books a year.
Wow.
And all that experience gives you a good foundation for how things are expressed. And it programs your mind to think in a certain way. And basically, the process of learning how to write is to sit down and, I used to write it out longhand. I used to use a typewriter. I'm that old. And then, in the 90s, I started using a computer. And the computer revolutionized everything because now I can take entire chapters and move them around. I can use
move paragraphs, do whatever you want. Yeah.
You can move stuff around.
Yeah.
And before you had to do that as a paste up.
Yeah, my father was an author, and he wrote his first 3 books on a typewriter. And I'm like, I don't know how he did it. I really don't. But
I wrote my first book on a typewriter, and I never published it. But I wrote it when I was in college, and I thought, hey, this is great. I'm going to send this off. It's going to be published and we'll be famous. And then one of my friends, asked me if she could read it. I said, sure. And she gave it back to me in about 3 days, and she said, it's an interesting story. It's a good rough draft. And I was like
Oh,
I thought it was finished. Yeah, I mean, but she was right.
yeah. Well, that's what we want.
Because
You
I
want,
went back,
yeah.
and read about 30 pages of it, and I said, "This is the worst garbage I've ever." So, and I still have that book, and I'll open it up from time to time to humble myself.
Do you think you will publish it? Do you think you
No,
will? No.
no, because there's elements of that book. There's stories that I drew out of that book and put into other books later on. So I
Oh,
mean,
okay. Okay.
it wasn't a wasted endeavor. It's just that
Right.
the way that the book was constructed was
Well,
kind of silly.
the ideas got published into another book, so
But
that's cool.
I was in my 20s when I wrote it. So I mean, what do you expect?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. This has been a fantastic interview. I would love to talk to you some more, but I'm looking up the time here. But your books sound fantastic. Yeah, I wanted to ask you real quick. The book you're working on now, book 3. Do you have what's the title again? I'm sorry.
Dead men don't wear watches.
And do you have a release date for that one?
Not yet. I haven't even finished, writing it really. I mean,
Okay.
the draft is done, but it's not.
Well, when you have a date and you know when it's going to be, let us know. I'd love to have you come back and tell us more about that
Okay.
one and how the
Well,
others.
probably the first Wolfcat book is the next one out because that one's in editing right now.
Okay,
And
well,
it's called Damerwald. Yeah.
all right. I think I'm booked up like 8 months in advance, but I just keep it in mind. I'd love to have you back. End of the year.
Well, I probably need to schedule it now. Then it'll probably be about eight months before it's
I
through.
think I'm booked through until what are we in October? I think May of next year. So that's what 6, 7 months. I mean, it's fantastic. I love it. I love meeting all these new authors and
That's great.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. But you are generously doing a giveaway, so thank you so much. And if you want to just tell the readers that are joining us tonight what the giveaway is.
Well, they have a choice of any of the current books, the 5 books, giving away a print version. Okay, and I may give away an ebook too. So yeah,
all right, 2 drawings.
Do that.
Okay, and you've asked me to pick the winner for you, so I would do that for you. And it's available. It's to those that are joining us live tonight. That's what the giveaway is for. You've given up an hour of your time, so we appreciate you spending the hour with us. And you are all in the drawing for an ebook from Elgon Williams, and a signed paperback. And I will announce it in my group and on the author page. I can't tag you on my author page, but I will tag you in the group to let you know who the winners are. And they will reach out to you. And I'm also doing my regular giveaway. That is a $5 Amazon gift card. And most of you know how to get entered into that one. You need to go to my author page and share this video to all your friends, your book clubs, wherever you want to share it, and tag me so I know you shared. And those of you that do that are in the drawing for a $5 Amazon gift card. Elgon, thank you so much for joining me. And if you want to have a few last words, feel free.
Well, I've had a lot of fun. It was a good experience. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to coming back.
Yes, please do. And everyone that joined us tonight, thank you so much. And I will see you in the group in an hour or two while I'll be announcing the winners. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.